welcome to Cosmos with Bailey. I'm Bailey and I'm a clairvoyant psychic medium and spiritual healer based in New Zealand. Welcome. So, oh my gosh, I've been waiting to do a video on ancestral trauma and healing for a while. And now I'm going to do one. So, ancestral trauma, past lives, demons, and family dynamics. Oh, goodness me. Okay, so we're in a bit of a tricky time right now on the earth because there is a changing of frequency almost, and what used to be the governing or ruling frequency of the old world masculine and feminine is transcending to an awakening, and we have these higher manifestations of masculine and feminine opening up. And for many of us in family dynamics who have been clearing ancestral trauma, intergenerational trauma, healing the ancestral line, you 100% have a more higher open consciousness in the family dynamic. And so sometimes this is how we get black sheep, or where one person just does not fit into the family frequency or belief system or patterning, and will usually get ousted or singled out or scapegoated for not doing what the family is doing, and it's simply a difference of frequency, but most of the times. So yeah, around by now, I think there's a lot of people in our 30s or 40s who are moving out of and leaving family dynamics, or finishing up or clearing ancestral patterning. And some souls do incarnate into very dense family lines to clear out, say, the paternal line or the maternal line. There's a really big focus on maternal lineage healing because it is the return of the matriarch or the divine feminine. So you're going to get these powerhouse woman feminine souls incarnating into super dense family dynamics, embody the ancestral trauma like generations worth, and then clear it off. And it's a very, very big task. And it sort of happens when you incarnate in via the womb space of your mother, and then you get imprinted with the consciousness of the maternal line that may not be your natural soul feminine frequency. And so this is when we can get the feminine and family lines, the divine feminine essence, that's pretty much non-existent. And there is a lot of fear. There's a lot of victim perpetrator and females being spiritually empowered. I see empowerment very different to how I would view maybe feminist empowerment. And there's usually very, very heavy ingrained, almost like we need to keep women oppressed, I think is a very common theme in those family dynamics, as well as the divine masculine. The masculine energy, I said this in a previous video, for some reason I just saw bunch of these videos of teen boys sitting in their cars, and it looked like their masculinity had been oppressed in the family dynamic. And when that happens for men, they feel it really, really deeply on the soul level, because by nature, masculine essence wants to be seen. He wants to be free. He wants to be adored and respected. And when you're in your teens and oppression happens in that way, or you grew up in a family dynamic where your masculinity or your femininity wasn't respected or honored, you're going to grow up feeling oppressed in your masculine energy and not know your full power. And so there's ancestral ickiness that's sitting over your soul masculine or feminine energy. Yeah, so I'm going to explain my process of clearing off and what I was dreaming about, guided by the spiritual realms. So as a process of me incarnating into the family line that I did, I chose on a soul level to clear out the entire maternal line. And in my family line, on the feminine side, the maternal side, is an incredible amount of oppression, victimization, staying with men for money. There is a pattern of the mother-daughter relationship being super, super dysfunctional. Some of that is with my cousins and their mothers and whatever is going on. And that also happened for me. And There's alcoholism, there's all this super and needing attention, being a victim to get attention and whatnot, and all this really icky stuff. And as a part of my process of channeling down the Venus womb, I had to go through the process, and it was via womb healing for me. It can happen in many different ways, but for me it was via the womb and the opening of the divine feminine womb in the family line to integrate back the feminine essence into the maternal line. And it was not easy. And so I had to go through this, for like 3 years, I had to go through this opening and clearing of my womb. But I also had embodied, as I was dreaming about what was going on, I was clearing thousands and thousands of years worth of trauma in the female line. I didn't like it. I could feel the frequency and the energy of the belief systems as they were playing out within me, and what was playing out with my own female family member. And I had a very strong awareness that this consciousness and the dynamics weren't my natural frequency. And I felt incredibly trapped, irritated, and annoyed in this family dynamic. And the last 2 years I was healing and clearing that. And it felt on the soul level like there was this really, really heavy blanket over my natural feminine essence. And I was fighting to get out of it. And it was stuff like trauma, victim, perpetrator, really dysfunctional and abusive mother-daughter relationships, and manipulative finances, and all of this really horrible stuff that was keeping me in a certain state of consciousness. I couldn't get my finances going. I couldn't get into jobs I wanted to. I was constantly being manipulated into doing things I didn't want to do. I was being controlled and dominated, and all of this stuff that's very traumatizing and oppressive. Oppressive people will try and oppress other people. And it was horrible, and I felt it on the soul level. And I felt like I was fighting against this energy or consciousness that just did not want me to be empowered. And so this is how I think you get the feelings of the matrix. But it's what's really going on is you're sitting in almost like this grid of frequency or family energy in your energy body, in your auric field. And you need to clear it off of you, specifically with the inner child. And reclaim back your power from incarnating into an oppressive family system and energy and not being allowed to choose for yourself. Just think about this for a minute on the soul level. If you incarnate into an oppressed family who then tries to oppress, dominate, and abuse you, you're going to feel on some soul level that you don't want to be there and you don't want to deal with this. And why do I have to deal with this? This wasn't my fault. There's going to be all these feelings in your inner child that you need to heal. I'm just going to talk a little bit more about trauma as well. I'm going to talk about my experiences of having soul energy come back online. So what happened was when I incarnated through the womb space of my family line, as a byproduct, I got conditioned or energetically bogged with ancestral trauma. And then also the mother-father energy of my parents, which is very, very oppressed. And there's a lot of belief systems around that females have to be downtrodden, you have to be below me. There's very intense hierarchical things in my family line. And that's not my natural consciousness. And anyway, it's like I got, and as the last few years, as I was dreaming of stuff, and I had a lot of my teen memories and my childhood memories come back up that I had repressed. And it was very, very interesting because there was my soul, what my soul was feeling, and then there was my traumatized self, my traumatized inner child that was functioning in survivalist consciousness. So there was almost like, and until I'd healed my inner child, my whole entire feminine essence was playing out this survival consciousness, and I could feel it, and I didn't want to be a part of it, and I didn't know how to get out of it. So if you have these feelings and you know you need to go and see a healer and you need to figure out what's going on in your energy body and in your inner child, there's also mother-father wounds where you get imprinted with the consciousness or the perpetrator consciousness of your mother and your father. And then they're going to play out those roles and those energies onto you as a child because they're in a consciousness that does that. So if you've come through the family line and you're not in that consciousness naturally, you are going to feel very, very oppressed. That's right, I was talking about oppression. And so you need to do some healing to free your soul energy and your inner child and integrate yourself into adulthood, into your natural soul frequency and out of the family oppression frequency, if that makes sense. Healing mother-father wounds is very important in this circumstance. The majority of us have not incarnated with the loving divine masculine and the loving divine feminine energies. So therefore we have wounding when it comes to the masculine and feminine. And until you heal that inner child, clear off whatever family stuff went on, abuse, if it was oppression, if it was victim perpetrator, and you heal the inner child, you're going to sit at this frequency of resonance with masculine and feminine. You're just going to experience the same energy being repeated back to you over and over, and you're going to feel stuck. This can play out in finances, relationships, marriages, jobs, and you need to clear off the consciousness or the energy of your parents and the family dynamic in order to move into more abundance and spiritual empowerment in the earthly realm. You have to work with what's going on in the earthly body. There is no point, while there's all the stuff happening up in the cosmos right now, it does affect us, but also you need to work with what's going on in the earthly body, in the earthly realm, because that's where we're at. There is absolutely no point in going up here and calling upon something when you want to be working with what's in the earthly body. Alright, so I've talked about ancestral trauma, oppression, victim perp. Now I'm going to talk about past lives. So if you are, and as I said, you could be holding a higher consciousness than your family, you are going to not feel happy until you've cleared off that heavy us versus them consciousness from the family line. It doesn't mean necessarily you're going to go and heal the entire ancestral line. It could just mean you need to clear off some energy. We're all different. But ancestral trauma and the patternings of the mother-father really affect your quality of life until they've been cleared off. Past lives. So past lives and family dynamics and what I was experiencing with a certain individual and with my parental figures in general, I also had past lives with them. And so there was a lot of wounding in me at being victimized and abused. And I had all these memories come up from my past lives. So hold on a minute. Soul child. And they had played out the same stuff on me, and it was a very abusive connection, over and over in a lot of my past lives, and a lot of the times it was very, very hurtful on the soul level and very, very horrible to experience. And it replayed out again this lifetime. And for this lifetime, I needed to break out and end the soul energy and contract. So the entire energy had to play out again, and then I had to break out of it and end the contract. So there could be past lives playing out. You need to go and see a professional healer to figure out what's actually going on there so you can free yourself from the consciousness of the victim perp or that survival consciousness and move into more abundance. This is a very generalized video. I don't know what's going on in your family dynamic or your soul. And the energy of the past lives played out again where I felt super abused and victimized, and that it was just horrible. And my soul had all the memories and energies that needed to be cleared. So when it comes to healing from abusive connections or family dynamics and whatnot, I've done this in the spiritual bypassing love and light and family dynamics video. You cannot bypass how your soul is actually feeling. So you cannot cover everything with love and light. Your soul will be feeling a certain way, and you need to honor and let yourself feel everything. As in, oh my gosh, I don't like my family dynamics. I don't like the way they treated me. I want nothing to do with them. Love and light, in this state of consciousness, you cannot cover up that intense victim perpetrator with love and light, because you're going to have some stuff going on within you that needs to come to reunification. It needs to come to a full circle, and you need to close it down. And by doing that, you need to feel the emotions. You need to admit how you feel. You cannot oppress the fact that you dislike a family member. You cannot try to cover up how your soul actually feels, because you're not going to heal and evolve out of the consciousness or the victimization or whatever happened. And when you've cleared the charge with a family member or whatever it is, it doesn't mean you allow them back in your life. Highly likely the person or the family dynamic or the family member, their consciousness is not going to change anytime soon. If you are holding a more open and aware consciousness, you're not going to resonate with victim-perpetrator. But if someone is still very rooted in the victim-perpetrator consciousness, they're going to continue to play out that stuff onto you, because that's where they're sitting in their frequency. So you can't expect people to just wake up out of being abusive. I think that's where you get very narcissistic stuff going on. Okay, so I talked about family dynamics there in past lives. Great. So, yeah, you can't just expect that family member's consciousness to change overnight. That's not going to happen. You need to be realistic. And if you are wanting that consciousness or that energy in your life any longer as an adult, is it working for you? Do you still keep getting pulled back into victim perpetrator when you know you're finished? You don't want to be in that consciousness anymore. You really need to look at the frequency or energy of someone with discernment and boundaries and decide if it's wise to continue a connection with someone at that time, or if they're just going to continue to try and abuse you. When someone enjoys abusing or creating a victim, they're not going to change at this point in time because they enjoy it. They find pleasure in trying to bring someone else down, and they will continue to do that because that's how they know they can get power and feel better about themselves. You've got to be realistic. Okay, that was victim perp. Okay, so I'm also going to talk a little bit about family demons and whatnot. And okay, so when it comes to sort of abusive family dynamics or very oppressed and survivalist family dynamics, when someone enjoys belittling or trying to dominate and control someone, there is highly likely some very dark energies. This is nothing to be afraid of. This is just a reality. Nothing to be afraid of. In the auric energy and in the energy body. So for the circumstance that I had this awareness of and that I was dreaming about, a family member, two of my family members in their past lives, had willingly worked with the Ku Klux Klan and the Nazis. So they had the energetic charge of victim-perpetrator already in their auric field that they were playing out. Okay? So when people have had past lives in victim-perpetrator and really enjoyed and thrived, say being a governor general or something where they had a lot of power over someone else, or joining a racist cult and enjoying the power they got and siphoning off the life force from the intense power dynamic. That's in their auric energy and body, and that is also a part of their karma. It doesn't excuse it, but that is just a reality. If someone is enjoying oppressing you, they're not going to change because their energy is in the auric body, and they need to work that out probably over many lifetimes. And so that's how you get demons and family members and whatnot, because I was researching this because I started dreaming of the Ku Klux Klan actually, and when there's really intense racist stuff like that, a lot of it played out with what happened with the vaccine as well. We saw a lot of that very racist stuff play out, and scapegoating and whatnot. And as someone already has the charge of racism or being a part of something like the Ku Klux Klan, they're going to continue to play out that consciousness because they enjoy the feeling of it. So you have to be very mindful. And that you can apply it to family members. If you know a family member consciously, when people align with demons or something like the Ku Klux Klan that has a demonic flavor to it, enjoying abusing someone is sadistic, even if it's emotional or psychological. when they enjoy seeing someone else suffer, that is demonic energies. And if that person enjoys doing it, that demon energy is not going to leave anytime soon. And for that reason, as I said with some family members, they are not going to change, and they've got to go on their own journey and begin to evolve out of that state of consciousness. You're not here to be a punching bag for someone else's juju, okay? Right, I've talked about demons and resonance and frequency. I'm also just going to talk a little bit more about the inner child. I did this in psychic trauma, and okay, just a little bit more on demons and family dynamics and whatnot, and the very intense victim perpetrator. If someone has demonic energies in them in that way, yeah, as I said, they're not going to stop or change that dynamic because they enjoy it. And what could be happening is they could be playing out energies on you that have nothing to do with you. They just enjoy the energy. So sometimes it's really important to see the bigger picture and if it's worth it. So, and just out about the everyday real world, boundaries and discernment and whatnot. If you're gonna go and stand, like, if you're gonna say something, do you want to get pulled back in to a consciousness and a conflict that has nothing to do with you and an energy that you're finished with? Because usually when people have demons in the energy field, they will not stop. So you need to decide if you want to invite that energy back into your life. And this is where boundaries and discernment comes in with family members. I'm not telling anyone just to go and leave a family dynamic, but this is a very, very extreme case in which I experienced, and it's very common. And I'm coming from a healer's perspective here to open up the energies of the family dynamics. Right, I'm just going to talk a little bit more about the inner child as well. So the inner child needs to be healed out of victim-perpetrator consciousness. Wow, I'm having some awarenesses right now. Whoa. Yeah, so yeah, 100%. Yeah, okay, well, what else do I need to say there? Yeah, there's something else that I need to say though. It's not your responsibility to allow yourself to be continuously made into a victim just because someone is a family member. Okay, so that's very, very important. If you know someone's not going to change, they're not going to change, and you need to see the reality. You need to go see a healer. You need to figure it out and remove your energy from the victim-perpetrator charge that you have with this person to end the relationship or the connection. And if you look around, you'll probably see very similar frequencies of people around you, and that's because you'll have a resonance within you. Okay, thank you so much for watching. I have 1.5 hour medical medium sessions specifically for family dynamics and whatnot and what's going on. It's important to remember that everything is energy. Energy can be cleared, trauma can be cleared, and you can move up into your natural soul frequency and out of that survivalist consciousness and belief systems that keep you super, super hindered in the earthly realm. Thank you so much for watching.